Welcome to another edition of Short Final. I'm here with Brad Isaacson at Rand Airport. Brad, thank you so much for joining us and having the earlier episode with regards to talking through your emergency so we could all learn from that experience. But today, for all of you out there that are thinking, this is interesting, but how do I become a pilot? How difficult is it really? And what are my avenues to pursue? So Brad, with all of your vast experience in aviation in South Africa, tell us, what would be your advice for somebody that is watching this that are thinking, I'd like to get into aviation?
Yeah, Donnie, there's a couple of avenues you can take. The route that I took, I went the Part 62 route, which is National Pilot License, which is categories of weight-controlled microlight. Got my license on that, got my instructors on that. That counted toward light sport aircraft, LSA category. Got my rating on light sport, did my instructors on light sport. So now I could instruct on both categories. And that time then counts towards a higher class. So I ended up doing my PPL in 2012, and all that LSA time was endorsed onto total time. So yeah, the options are either Part 62 if you want to go the recreational route, which does count towards a higher license, or you can start straight PPL, which is Part 61 at a PPL flight school, do your private pilot's license, go into COM, and then onto ATP.
So on this channel many times, I've actually mentioned just how proud I am about the Sling aircraft being built in Johannesburg and just how popular this aircraft is internationally. So what I'm hearing you saying is that there are actually two different license types, and that you'll be able to satisfy and be able to fly microlights, light sport aircraft like the Sling 2, and you don't have to go the traditional route. Can you maybe just elaborate a little bit more about what is this differences between Part 61 and Part 62?
Yeah, okay. So Part 62 National Pilot License is weight-controlled microlights, flex wing, weight shift, maximum all-up weight 450 kilograms. Light sport aircraft category is max all-up 600 kilograms. And that will include the likes of your Sling 2s, your A22 Foxbat, your Savannah, your CTLS, etc.
Struggling with logbook math or CAA summaries? It's time to dish the paper. TWS Log is South African made for every pilot, from the local general aviator to the international ATPL. They offer 50 hours for free for students and seamless migration for your existing hours. Scan the QR code or visit tws.software to go digital today.
So let's talk about cost, because I think that's the number one barrier, right? For people thinking, hey, I want to get into aviation, it's going to cost too much. I can't afford it. And it's under the premise of thinking I need to do my PPL license. It's going to be 200,000 Rand. I need to do my 45 hours. What is it like maybe pursuing this in a different aircraft type that is not as expensive as a Cessna 172 at 3,000 Rand an hour? What's the alternative option here?
Well, Donnie, the route that I took, I did my weight-controlled microlight license back in 2003. I think I did it in 26 hours. I could then buy a machine very cheap, around 50,000 Rand. I could then clock my hours, get to 200 hours, do my instructor rating. Now I can instruct and earn off the machine. Microlight time will count towards light sport aircraft time, so you don't have to do a full conversion on that. It's 10 hours of dual, 10 solo, and a flight test. Then you get the category of light sport aeroplane. Once I had that, I could obviously get to 100 hours in category to do my instructors on light sport. Now I can fly both categories. And then I decided to do my private pilot's license. Now the light sport aircraft hours count towards PPL. I had to do 10 hours of dual, 5 hours of solo, and a flight test. And then once I attained the PPL license, all my LSA time was endorsed. So It's definitely a cheaper way to go. I was very thankful I went that route as opposed to just straight into PPL.
And are there any limitations besides the weight limitations on the aircraft? I guess what I'm asking is, if I'm curious and I want to start doing this recreationally, you've got the barrier of entry into cost. So we're saying, hey, maybe consider the Microlight experience. Your hours are going to count towards the full license. You're probably going to be a day VFR pilot anyway. Have you felt at all during your experience that those limitations were impeding your ability to fly these type of aircraft? And I'm saying this in the correlation of not being able to do night rating or instrument rating, etc.
Donnie, for me personally, I just wanted to fly. I'm very happy with what I do. Obviously, the NPL category, weight-controlled microlights, 2-seaters, light sport aircraft, all 2-seaters. If you want to fly 4 6-seat aircraft, then you need the PPL license in order to do that, because obviously up goes the weight. But yeah, I was just very happy to hand fly aircraft. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to fly autopilot all day long, A to B.
That's actually a good point. To tell us about the skills, because I've heard people talk about you really understanding the dynamics, because you were so much more exposed to the elements, the influence of air and wind in a lighter aircraft, that you really get to learn how to handle crosswind, the respect for the machine, the respect for airflow. Maybe talk us a little bit, just how did this hone your skills?
Yeah, I'm very thankful I started on weight-controlled microlights. It really teaches you to feel the wing, feel the aircraft. You're flying a feather. So it definitely develops the skills, which stands you in good stead for the transition onto 3-axis light sport. Whereas going the other way from 3-axis onto weight shift, you're never going to be as sharp as you could be if you started on weight shift initially. But yes, it does keep the skill set right up there. You're flying light aircraft, and yeah, just it keeps you ahead of the machine.
Do you have any estimate in terms of what it would cost for somebody to do their NPL license from the beginning?
Donnie, it really depends on the flight school and the type of aircraft you're flying. If you're talking weight-controlled microlights, yeah, you could spend maybe 50,000 Rand to get a microlight license. Light sport, the minimum hours for a license is 35 before your test, so call it 37.5 bare minimum. And that depends on the aircraft you're flying. You could be flying a little Foxbat, you could be flying a Sling 2. The aircraft cost comes into it, on obviously on hourly cost. But light sport, anywhere from 100,000 to about 130,000 for a license. PPL, again, it depends on the aircraft, whether you're flying a Cessna 152, 172, Cherokee. And yeah, PPL, I don't think you'll get away with less than about 250,000 for a license once you've done all your exams and all your hours.
Okay. And so for somebody considering it and thinking, hey, let me consider the microlight piece, get into that, see if I like that, get to learn about aviation. It sounds like a really meaningful way to get started. What would be the process? Would you suggest that somebody does a introductory flight?
Well, first and foremost is go to a flight school and do a discovery flight or an air experience flight, where you go up with an instructor, you see what it's like being in the sky. Ideally, the instructor will let you just manipulate the controls to feel the aircraft. And if you dead set on pursuing this, then you sign up with a flight school, whether it's an ATO or a DTO flight school. You go for an aviation medical to make sure you're medically fit. That allows you to apply for a student or learner certificate. which allows you to then be registered for online CAA exams and for the purposes of flying the aircraft solo.
So talk about the medical certificate. What certificate is required for NPL?
All right, so for NPL, Part 62, it is a Class 4 medical under the age of 40, valid for 5 years, and over the age of 40, valid for 3 years, and that's where the regs stop. Part 61, which is PPL, is 5 years under the age of 40, 2 years between 40 and 50 years of age, and then annually above the age of 50.
And that's class 2.
That's class 2, correct.
And then class 1 for commercial or instrument. So I guess the advice would be, step 1, check if you like it, go for that introductory flight. Step 2, check that you can get the medical, and then look at then committing into the training. So I think that this is a very interesting avenue to consider, an avenue that I certainly did not know anything about when I pursued my aviation path. So I signed up and did my PPL, gosh, now 7 years ago. And I really do think that this option to go for something a bit more affordable, that you can work into the long term, is a very viable option. And also perhaps for somebody that may not be able to get a class 2 medical, it gives them the opportunity to still participate in aviation. The caveat that I'm thinking about is it safe? So having the amount of time that you have and the length of experience, maybe talk us through what is the safety aspects like for flying microlight aircraft?
Oh, Donnie, let me start by saying that aircraft don't crash themselves, pilots do. That being said, you're flying single engine piston, especially 2 strokes. All the older microlights have 2-stroke engines, not the most reliable. They tend to stop when they feel like. In my 23 years of flying microlights, I've had 5 engine failures. 3 of them were successfully landed. 2 of them, unfortunately, we went off airport, so we did end up rolling the machine, but very gentle. Dusted ourselves off, no injuries. So yes, they do have, any aviation has its element of risk, and you've got to acknowledge that if you're going to be a pilot, and try plan for worst case. Aviation will generally give you the experience before the lesson, and staying current is vital. Flying aircraft that make sure they're maintained and serviced correctly by the appropriate people, and just try and keep your skills as sharp as you possibly can.
Any final thoughts around the takeaways for people pursuing the aviation dream?
Yeah, the best advice I could give is don't just go to the first flight school you stumble upon. See what flight schools are in the area. Go and look around, see what aircraft they have on their fleet. Just get a feel for the flight school before you sign up.
So Brad, thank you so much for joining us at Rand Airport today. The conversation that we've had with regards to handling emergency. If you haven't seen that video yet, here's a link to that video. And also for having this conversation around getting more people involved in aviation. Thank you so much for watching. In your support of the channel, please consider to like and subscribe. It really does support and help us. Until next time, thanks for watching.